Welcome to today's Explainer. We're diving right into a mystery that is as cozy as it is completely fascinating. If you've got a cat, you've absolutely seen that pure, unadulterated joy when they get their paws on a little bit of catnip. But have you ever actually stopped to wonder why our feline overlords are so obsessed with it? Well, today we're unraveling the evolutionary whodunit of catnip, exploring a wild story of lost genes, double evolution, and a secret superpower hiding right there in your garden.
So we have to start with the most obvious question, right? Why do cats go completely crazy for catnip? We've all seen the reaction. Your normally aloof house cat gets one whiff of this little green plant and instantly transforms. They're blissfully rolling on the floor, aggressively rubbing their cheeks on the leaves, purring super loud. It's like they've entered a state of pure euphoria. And what's really wild is that it's not just our pets. About 2/3 of all feline species, including wild predators like lions, tigers, and leopards, have this exact same hypnotic reaction. But it gets really interesting when you look at the stark contrast in the animal kingdom. While our furry feline protagonist is having the time of its life rolling around on the ground, our supporting cast, say a dog or a mouse, could not care less. You put a pile of catnip in front of a dog, and it's probably just going to take a quick sniff and walk away, completely indifferent. This highly specific reaction tells us something crucial. Catnip isn't just a universally pleasant smell. It is a highly targeted biological key that perfectly fits a very specific feline lock. To understand that lock and key, we've got to look at the chemistry. The magic behind this frenzy is a compound called nepentolactone, along with similar chemicals found in plants like silvervine. These are volatile iridoid chemicals. When a cat breathes in that pungent catnip aroma, these molecules bind to special receptors right inside their nose. And this actually triggers the exact same neural pathways as sexual pheromones. It is a massive, hardwired neurological response. But here is the absolute craziest part of all this. The plant did not evolve this chemical to get your cat high. Which brings us to our first major chapter, the double evolution twist, a plant's journey to defend itself. To really solve the catnip mystery, we need to look at the plant's own evolutionary history. And honestly, it's an epic botanical plot twist. Millions of years ago, the ancient ancestors of the mint family happily produced these chemicals to fend off hungry insects. But then a massive genetic shift happened. An entire subfamily of plants actually lost the ability to make these chemicals. They basically deleted the genes and moved on to other defense strategies. But fast forward millions of years, and one specific lineage in that family, the ancestors of modern catnip, somehow managed to uniquely re-evolve the ability to make nepentolactone all over again. As researchers from the University of York and Michigan State University brilliantly summed it up, it's an example of repeated evolution with a twist. This is incredibly rare. The plant essentially walked into an evolutionary dead end, lost a major superpower, and then, under intense pressure to survive, painstakingly rebuilt that superpower from scratch using completely different molecular tools. It didn't just retrace its steps, it engineered a brand new evolutionary innovation that just happens to look like the old one. Section 2, Unique Chemical Recipes. Let's look at how catnip differs from regular mint. This unique evolutionary reboot gave catnip a chemical recipe unlike anything else in its family. And that's exactly why your cat goes nuts for a catnip toy, but literally couldn't care less when you brush your teeth with mint toothpaste. If we compare regular mint with catnip, the difference is pretty wild. In other types of mint, like peppermint or spearmint, the aromatic chemicals are usually formed by a single enzyme working all by itself. It's a straightforward one-step process. But catnip, because it had to re-evolve its machinery from scratch, it developed this completely unique double-hit process. One enzyme primes the compound, and then a second, highly unusual enzyme swoops in to finish the job. It takes two distinct steps to brew the perfect nepentolactone. And this genetic map illustrates that perfectly. Scientists discovered a totally bizarre set of enzymes in catnip, specifically one called ISY. These enzymes evolved uniquely in the catnip lineage and just don't exist in any closely related plant species. The plant literally hacked its own genome, taking an ancestral enzyme that originally had just a tiny side function and, through duplication and intense natural selection, optimized it into a dedicated bug repellent manufacturing machine. What's even more fascinating is how these genes are organized. When scientists sequenced the catnip genome, they found that the genes responsible for this two-step recipe weren't just randomly scattered around. They're actually clumped right next to each other, forming a tight, highly efficient genetic cluster.
This physical grouping in the plant's DNA was a huge clue for scientists trying to solve the evolutionary mystery. It shows that as the plant was fumbling around inventing this new chemical weapon, it grouped the instruction manuals together for maximum efficiency. Which brings us to part 3, nature's mosquito repellent, the hidden superpower.
Okay, so we know how the plant makes this chemical, and we know what it does to cats, but we still need to answer the ultimate why. Nature doesn't spend millions of years going through a complex double evolution just to provide recreational entertainment for the neighborhood tabby. Let's look closely at our cozy cartoon garden here. Why of all this? Pure survival. Catnip produces nepentolactone for one main reason: to fight off insects. By emitting these highly volatile compounds, the plant actively messes with plant-eating bugs like aphids, effectively stopping them from landing and chewing on its leaves. But this defense doesn't just stop at plant eaters, it actually extends to blood-sucking insects too. In fact, nepentolactone is a staggeringly effective natural bug repellent. Some studies have pointed out that when it comes to repelling certain pests, like mosquitoes and even cockroaches, this chemical can be up to 100 times more effective than DEET, which is the main synthetic ingredient in commercial bug sprays. It is just a massive, highly efficient chemical shield developed through natural selection. But here is where the absolute genius of the system kicks in. You see, the plant stores this essential oil safely inside its leaf structures. The chemical isn't fully released unless the plant is physically stimulated or broken. So step 1, the plant produces nepentolactone. Step 2, a cat wanders by, gets excited by the faint smell, and starts aggressively rubbing, chewing, and rolling on the plant, completely smashing the cell walls. Step 3, those crushed leaves release a massive burst of oil that transfers directly onto the cat's fur. Researchers have found that cats coated in this oil literally see the number of mosquitoes landing on their heads get cut in half. Let's pull this all together in our final section, a perfect coincidence, when feline euphoria meets botanical defense. So let's weave these amazing clues into one perfect coincidence. It turns out that the feline euphoria response, meeting the plant's defense mechanism, is one of nature's most beautiful and accidental synergies. Let's recap the main takeaways. First, when your cat rolls in catnip, they aren't just getting high, they're actually performing a deeply ingrained functional defense behavior. They are instinctively applying natural bug spray. Second, think about how crucial this is for wildcats. When an apex predator like a leopard or a lynx needs to lie perfectly still in the brush to ambush prey, getting swarmed by mosquitoes would completely ruin the hunt. This behavior gives them a massive survival advantage in the wild. And finally, it's not just catnip. Plants native to Asia, like silvervine, evolved similar chemicals, and the functional reaction from the cats is exactly the same. It's truly a marvel of the natural world, isn't it? A plant loses its chemical defenses, miraculously re-evolves them millions of years later through a complex 2-enzyme genetic cluster, and unintentionally creates a chemical so powerful that it essentially tricks apex predators into acting as its personal leaf crushers, all in exchange for an unbeatable euphoric bug spray. It really makes you wonder, if a simple mint plant went through 2 full evolutions just to repel bugs, what other invisible evolutionary superpowers are quietly hiding right there in your own cozy backyard garden? Thanks for exploring this phenomenal biological mystery with us. Until next time, stay curious.
Knowledge grows through sharing. What are your thoughts on today's topic? Let me know in the comments below. Don't forget to subscribe as we continue to grow together.